And welcome back to Studio K. I'm sitting here right now with the one and only Heatbox. How you doing, Heatbox?
I feel good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. After that performance, I'm giddy.
Nice.
Feeling great. Yeah. All right. I kind of already introduced you, but if you want to give your own formal introduction and kind of like a one-liner of what you do.
Yeah, I'm a professional mouth user. I'm a voiceover actor and singer and beatboxer. And I make sound effects and all sorts of stuff. Anything you can do with your mouth. That's what I do.
You do it. That's great. That's great. You're very good at it.
Thanks.
Very talented.
Been at it for a little while.
Yeah. I heard that you started when you were 2 years old. Is that true?
Well,
Is
that's
that a legend or is it?
That's the legend, right?
Okay.
Started making mouth sounds when I was, just a baby.
Yeah.
But I didn't get paid for about 22 years after that.
Okay.
But then I did.
It's worth it. You were developing the muscles up until then.
That's right.
Right. Yeah.
And the Legos and the Transformers, they don't make their own sounds, so
right.
you got to do your own stuff.
Exactly. You're creative with that. Cool. I also heard that you played tuba as a younger child. Did that strengthen your mouth muscles?
Yeah, that's actually true. I
Yeah.
swear that's true. That was like beatbox training.
Yeah.
From 6th grade until 12th grade. That's like solid 7-8 years of going
Right.
as hard as you can.
Wow. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So if you want to be good at beatboxing on the side, your side gig, side hustle is tuba.
Tuba.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Or that's the training ground. That's what you do before beatboxing.
During
right?
the montage, that's
Right.
one of the things.
The Rocky montage of you playing the tuba, just blowing in.
For sure.
Great. All right. Well, let's talk about the songs that we heard from you today. All three of them come from your latest record that came out in June. Hilarious and epically legendary. Correct.
Yep, that's right.
So that feels like a very apt title for the album.
Yep. I had a lot of different titles in the running.
Yeah.
And I couldn't choose, and I couldn't choose, and I couldn't choose. And I was like talking to my friend. I was like, I don't know what to pick, but whatever it is, it has to be hilarious and epically legendary. And he was like, well, that just call it that. Yeah. And I was like, you're so right. And he brings it up every day that he is the one that came up with that.
Well, you said it though, didn't you?
Yeah, but
he just pushed you to use it. Yeah, cool. I hilarious is definitely in there. I mean, your stuff is super funky, super groovy, but that aspect of humor is really what makes it unique, I think. Have you always kind of incorporated humor in your music?
Yeah, for sure. I was always like a silly kind of performer. I think funk is kind of silly also by itself. Like it embraces the silliness. And
sure.
The old school funk guys are just decked out in sequins and they're all silly and like having a great time. So I was always kind of that guy, but I never purposely made an album about that until this last one when I was like, I'm just going to go 100% total turd sandwich and see what we can do,
Totally. Yeah. It's a fantastic combination. And so the first one that we heard was Bad Internet Friend.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct? You said that's accurate for yourself. You think you're a bad internet friend?
Yeah, pretty much. Like I go onto the social medias and I post my own stuff. It's like, hey, look at my stuff and my show or whatever. But then I like kind of scroll a little bit, but I don't like go to my friends, even my good friends. I don't even, I should, but I just don't.
It's fair though. It takes up a lot of time to market yourself.
Yeah,
all the time.
Yeah. I just go on there and post my own thing and leave.
How have you navigated that space in the social media era? Like, has it been tough for you to promote yourself on social media and like be that kind of guy who's like, come to this all the time?
Yeah, I feel there's a fine line between being annoying and like doing it all the time, and then people sort of phase out and don't care and they tune out. They're like, yeah, it's him and he's talking about that same stuff.
Yeah.
So I like to try to sort of mix it in with, being a real person and like this is a picture me and my son drew together or whatever, or just try to have a nice real thing going on. Try to keep it quote unquote real.
Yeah.
And just try to make content though. I try not to force content. Like some people are like, you gotta do it every day. And I'm like, if I don't have a good idea, I'm just gonna not post anything. But I'm also 41, so I came around late in the game or whatever. I'm old, so I kind of don't know.
You're killing it though. I mean, I've looked at your TikTok too, and your TikTok is fantastic.
Thanks. I just started that.
Did you just start that?
Like whatever, a month and a half ago.
You seem like a veteran already.
I like 15
doing
seconds.
The filters and all that.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I'm good for 15 seconds. That's great.
Totally. Cool. All right. And then after that song, we had Inigo Montoya. And that comes from the Princess Bride. I'm sure all the people out there who like that movie were loving that song.
Yeah, it's fun to watch people get it.
Yeah.
I think we were telling you earlier
that
sometimes when they play it live, people don't know what's coming and they sort of figured it out. And then the chorus comes in like, I knew it.
Yeah.
And for all of the young people that are here that don't know, Inigo Montoya is a character in the movie The Princess Bride, which is a classic Rob Reiner vehicle. It's really funny and really got like the best sword fight of all time, they call it, in a movie.
Yeah.
Which is just top-notch stuff.
So true. Yeah. So how did that idea for that song come about? Were you just love that character so much that you decided to write a song? Or
Yeah, I made the beat first. I was like, I got this Latin beat, and I've had it for a while. And then I don't know. I think most of my songs usually get made up on the spot at some point at some show live along the way, and they're like a crummy version of it, and we just sort of jam on it. And I think I probably did that, and then I was like, well, that's one of the good ones, because you do that a bunch, and then 1 in 40 is like, oh, this one is really good, and everybody asked you questions about it after the show, and like, when's the first, did you do that before? And I'm like, no, I just did that, and they're like, oh. Yeah. But there's a ton of them that you do, and no one ever asks you any questions about. But a ton of people ask me about that one. They're like, what is that? Yeah. How long have you had that? And I'm like, I'm going to expand on that is what I'm going to do.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so before you release music, before you record it, you like to kind of put out feelers at your live shows to see how people are receiving it? Or?
Yeah, I'd say usually I do that.
Okay.
See what's going on. But sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just say, this is good, and I'm going to not tell anybody, and I'm just going to put it out.
That's great. A healthy balance of both, I think, is good.
That's right.
Totally. And then the last one we heard was Zipper Merge. Yeah. That one concludes the album, doesn't it?
It does. That's the big finale. There's a big brass section on it on the album and everything, and there's timpanis and harps and all this
so great
stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a song for everybody that's ever driven a car in the Midwest. Please learn how to zipper merge correctly. Don't get all mad when people, they form the big long line in the one lane, and then somebody comes down, and then everyone's like, I hate that guy.
Yeah.
But that guy's doing it right. That's what he's supposed to. You're supposed to. There's signs everywhere that are like, please use all the lanes.
Right.
And go down to the end. But people, it's the Midwest. Everybody hates that.
Totally. So it's informational. That song is you're trying to give people a lesson there.
I tried to go to MnDOT and was like, hey, you guys, can I film some of the video? And they were like, no.
That's hilarious. Cool. So about this record as a whole, I know that you're an audio engineer. Did you mix this record yourself too?
I mixed it first myself, and then I brought it to a better dude named Pat Nelson, and we would hang out every Thursday and mix it together. And I made it sound pretty good, and then he made it sound really good.
Yeah.
And that was cool to listen to that.
Cool.
I learned a lot also just hanging out with him.
Yeah, I bet. And you said that a lot of the instruments on it are you. Are you doing similar mouthbeat stuff for a lot of the instruments, or? Yep,
there's a good mix. There's like a weird. I'd be curious. Sometimes I do ask people. I'm like, "What do you think? Do you think that was a real sax, or do you think that was me?" And they're like, "Oh, I never thought of that," because some of the saxophones are real, and some of them are synth from a keyboard, and some of them are me going or whatever. And so it's a big mix. Like all the drums are me with a keyboard and the Pro Tools, and almost all the bass. And blah, blah, blah. And so timpanis and harps, and I have fake strings and real strings. I hired real strings players. But so it's a kind of a mix, and then it was fun to smush it all together, because a lot of people will put fake brass and then hire real brass and then totally take out the old fake brass. But I kept the fake brass in there and kind of put it down in the mix and put the real guys on top, and then it makes this big, huge sound.
Super full.
Which was cool.
Yeah, totally. That's awesome. And it's really cool to see you do it live, like hear all the different elements kind of layering in. Like you can really hear the bass part before everything else comes in. So you're listening to that throughout. I think that's awesome. So So when did you get into looping? When did you discover the looping pedal?
I think Boss made the first loop station, which is what I still have. They have their latest one now, the RC600, the fancy blinky one. But the old school one was the RC20, and me and my buddy found it in a Guitar Center one day, and we're like, what is this? And we bought it, and we brought it back, and we just hung out and just messed around with it. And I was a beatboxer before that, but I was doing like the old school, just do it in a microphone, and I had 6 minutes of material, and I'd go do my stuff and my turntables and impressions and beats and stuff, and it was great. But then the loop station, we were like, whoa, like now you can make songs or like do whatever
perform
you want.
On your own for a while too.
Yeah. Now I can whatever. I could play for 3 hours if that's what somebody pays me enough money to do.
Yeah, totally. And that's great. I feel like that you had both of those eras. Like you had to get super creative without the looping pedal.
Sure.
And then so now you can do either.
Mm-hmm.
Which is great.
It's the montage training. That's part of it, is the not having any equipment.
Yeah.
Get up there by yourself.
Totally. Yeah. Awesome. Cool. So I'm curious about kind of your history as a musician too. I know that you played with a group called Root City
Yeah.
for a while. Can you tell me about the sound of that group and where you fit in with that dynamic?
Totally. That's part of the montage as well, for sure.
Totally.
So the lead singer's name's Alex Rossi. He's been in the scene. He still is
really?
for a long, long time. And we had a keyboard player and a drummer and a bass and sax and trumpet. And we were a funky blues, like bar band, basically. We'd go around. We played downtown at Glick's,
Cool.
the oldest bar in the world, for 12 years every Wednesday. And I came around, and it was Alex and a drummer and a bass player, and they were a straight-up blues act at the time. And I was like just itching to perform, so I would come around to the shows and come around, and I would get, he'd call me up, like, Heatbox, get up here for this one, and I'd do one song, and I'd spend the rest of the time just hanging out with everybody else.
Yeah.
And then I'd do 2 songs after a while, and then I start singing backups on whatever, and then I have a tambourine. And before you know it, I'm up there all the time. I just sort of weaseled my way into the band, really. And nobody ever fired me, so I just kept showing up. And then after a while, I was like a big part of the band, and then I was basically the hype man to Alex Rossi. I was his beatboxing, singing hype man dude, pretty much. And that was so fun. We were young and dumb, and we had a great time.
And is there a chance that Root City could get back together or do a show at some point in the future?
We usually do one show a year now, pretty much. The big show the day before Thanksgiving at Glick's.
Okay.
It's the big reunion.
Cool.
And all the old fans come out and stuff, and it's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what ultimately made you decide to go solo and make your own music under your own name?
Alex decided he was going to move to New York City and try to make a name for himself out there.
Yeah.
And while he was doing that, I had already started to make a record, just because I thought it was fun and I like to make beats and like making beats and songs and stuff. So when he did that, I was already sort of halfway done with this record. My first record came out in 2006.
Yeah.
And it was called Entertainment. And so when he left, I was like, well, now I'm just going to have to go 100% on this record and then try to do it solo. And then that went really, really well.
Yeah.
I got into the hippie music scene, and I started doing all these festivals and sold a lot of the record and had a good time. And then I started making shirts. And when he came back, he was like, oh, dude, good job. You really just went and did it without me, and you're doing well. So I was like, yeah, thanks, man.
Sweet. Yeah. And so then after that, you released System, right? That was in that time period. And then it looks like you had a hiatus period of at least of recording music.
Yeah.
What were you doing during that time between 2009 or whatever it was until this latest one?
Yep. System came out in 2009. And then I did do a thing in 2013. It was a digital only thing called Get Some Level 1 and 2, which was 4 other songs. So 8 songs total. But that was when the beginning of digital, and people still wanted CDs. So I kind of jumped the gun too fast. I was like, we won't even do CDs. I'll just go straight digital. And that didn't really work at that time.
In 2013?
Yeah,
Okay.
in 2013. At least not in the scene that I was performing in. Everybody's like, why don't you have CDs? But so after that, then there's a 10-year gap of where I was like, I don't even really know if I want to beatbox and sing anymore.
Wow.
The artist thing where you're like, every artist wants to do something else.
Right.
If you're a magician, you're like, I really want to, be a rock star. And if you're a rock star, you're like, I really want to be a comedian and whatever. So we're artists. So we're always like, do something else. And I tried to be like a game show host. I coded this game show called Soul Players, where we would raise money for charity and blah, blah, blah. It's this video game show thing. And I was like, this will be great. And it was really fun, but it didn't make any money or anything like that. And I tried to kind of get out of this game for a while. And then I'm glad I didn't, though, because I really like it again. I don't know how that works, but I'm really excited again. And I got this new product, and I just made stickers of my own face, and which is really exciting. So I know you can't see this on the radio, but I just got stickers of my face from the sticker store today. And I just think everybody should try getting 1,000 stickers of your own face once in your life. It feels good.
Yeah, I bet you were handing them out earlier today too.
Yep, that's right. Everybody gets a face sticker.
No, everyone here has a face sticker. It's so great. So was it ultimately the pandemic that kind of made you have a change of heart with the artist thing, or what brought you back?
That's a good question. I hadn't really thought about that, but I think you're right, because during the pandemic, all the gigs got canceled. So then I said, I don't know what to do. And so I did a weekly Patreon where you would pay $2 every week to get the song that I would make. And the way I would do it is, on Monday, I would say, hey, everybody, give me ideas for songs. And we get, everybody had nothing to do, so we'd get like 250 ideas, comments for songs, and me and my wife would look at them and pick 2. And then I'd do a little demo for each one of the 2, and then I'd put those up on Wednesday and be like, vote for the one, and then people would vote, and that one would win, and then by the end of the week I would have a finished song from my studio. So that was like that's like montage again. I'm like marathon training, making songs. I'm making songs constantly, one a week, and it's like gearing up for a marathon or something.
Yeah.
And then a couple of those made it onto this. Log Jammin' and Maidmer specifically made it onto Maidmer, which is a song about a being with a lady bottom and fish top, the opposite of a mermaid.
And then at the end, you hear from the fish a little bit.
Yeah. There's an argument with the fish. So check out Maid. No, I can't. Oh, I can't say that.
Don't worry about it.
So some of that got me in the motion of just doing that, and then it's kind of like working out. Once you start doing it all the time, then you just do it more naturally, I guess. And so then when the pandemic was quote unquote over, I like, well, I'm just going to keep going and use some of these and really pump this thing out and get out there.
Yeah. And one thing that we were talking about earlier too is that you started to play with a live band. You had some state fair dates this year.
Oh yeah.
And was that your first time with a live band?
I mean, I've been in bands,
right.
But I never had
with your music.
Yeah, I never had my music and had it be me, the center guy, and like the lead singer and all that.
Totally.
And I've jammed, of course, a ton with one friend, 2 friends, but never a full band with the whole thing, and that's really cool. I hope everybody gets to be the lead singer of a band at least for one day in their life, because it's really cool.
Yeah. And how was that experience at the fair?
It was great.
Yeah.
The first night was our first time ever doing it. I also have 2 dancers who come out, and they have these dumb costumes sometimes, and they're also really, really actually good dancers, but we have them in these really dumb, like Maidmer costume and the baseball bat costume, and they're really good dancers, but they're so cool for being down for, their names are Drew and Hillary. They're so cool for being down to do that dumb stuff. They're all about it. And so we're doing the whole thing, and they're out there, and we're doing this big moment with the song called Clap on the 1 and 3. We have the whole audience clapping on the 1 and 3, and and if you're a musician, it hurts.
Yeah, I know. I was about to say, I'm curious, because that's always the joke is that, I mean, it's not the joke, but 2 and 4 is like, you gotta clap on that to be funky. So yeah, and I know that you know that. So what is that? Why saying the 1 and 3? Is that
because it's funny? Like it was another one of those dumb songs that we came up with before the pandemic. But so I just people asked me about that one a bunch, so I fleshed that one out and fleshed it out into a full thing.
Cool.
But at the state fair, we were doing that, and it was this big moment. It's a big quote unquote big beautiful moment, but it's also really dumb, which is my favorite kind of combination of stuff. And we're doing that, and at the main stage, I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Carly Simon. She finished playing, and so all the fireworks start going off, and they're right there. So this big moment's happening in perfect timing. The fireworks are going boom, boom, boom. They all start, and we're like, wow, look over there. And everyone's clapping on the 1 and 3 and like looking at the fireworks. And I was like, this is so awesome. So awesome.
It's one of those moments you just close your eyes and try to take it in.
Yeah, it's like this is all happening.
Yeah, totally. Cool. All right. We're getting to time here, so I got 2 more questions for you. One, it's more business. Tell me about some shows you have coming up, and maybe some merch and releases, if there is anything.
That's right. Tomorrow, I'm going to be at Surly Brewing for the Legacy Cup with The Far Side and DJ Abilities, and it's hosted by Slug from Atmosphere. And that's a cannabis celebration festival with vendors and all sorts of stuff. And a big show that I'm doing is November 18th at the Fitzgerald. I'm releasing the vinyl album of this.
Wow, cool.
Along with my other friend, Mark Joseph. He's also releasing a vinyl of his album, so it's a dual headline thing. Melvin Seals from the Jerry Garcia Band is going to be jamming. Wow. And Mark Murphy from Wookiefoot's going to be jamming, and it's going to be a real nice big thing, and we're going to film it. And then I'm going to make this big, silly concert film of it. It's going to be like a real concert film, but also full of weird, silly stuff. I really want people to come out and be in this movie thing that we're shooting.
Yeah.
It's going to be like a dumb, modern Purple Rain.
I was just going to say that. I was just at First Ave last night, so that's been in my head. So
For real.
Yeah.
It's going to be a dumb, modern Purple Rain. And then I'm in a show called Who Brought the Humbug this Christmas at the Cowles. Check that out. Who Brought the Humbug? I play an investigator with my good friend Reed Grimm, and we're trying to find who brought the humbug.
A beatboxing investigator?
It is, yeah. We do a dual beatbox we sing the song "You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch," but we do a beatbox thing with it. It's fun.
That's a must-see for sure. Cool. Great. My final question for you is one that I prepped you for before, so I hope you've been letting it percolate as we talked about. Build yourself a dream bill with 4 acts total. You get to be one of them, and also give me a venue if you could.
And they can be dead, right?
They can be dead or alive. Yep.
Yep. So, oh man, that's a great question. Obviously, I gotta go James Brown.
Oh yes.
Because he's awesome. I regret I never got to see him live. I was gonna go to Bonnaroo and see him live once, but that didn't work out. And then he unfortunately died after that. Another major influence that I would want on this bill is Weird Al. I want James Brown and Weird Al on the same bill.
Wow.
Who doesn't love Weird Al? I mean, I do. And then for a third act, man, let's go Outkast.
Oh wow, yes.
Because
what a bill.
Dude, what a bill. And then I would get to be in that. That'd be so great. And let's do it at I would want to do it at like not a huge stadium, even though these acts are amazingly big acts. Because the stadiums sound poopy. Like, I don't know.
That's fair.
I want to do it at the Minnesota Zoo. Have you seen a show there?
I have not, but you were telling me that you opened for someone pretty big at the Minnesota Zoo.
I opened for Boys to Men there.
Yeah.
And also Root City got to open up for all the guys on all these old soul funk records. And they were just these legendary dudes, but nobody knows who they are.
Oh, okay.
That was a great time too. But yeah, that place sounds really awesome.
Yeah, totally. Awesome. If I can make it a 5-band bill and add one myself, honorary pick, I would do Zapp and Roger, as we were talking about before.
Dude, that would be so hot.
It would fit so nice with, with the thing.
And we'll get Prince in there, of course.
Prince,
and, you know,
let's make it a festival.
It'll be fine.
Festival at the Minnesota Zoo at some point.
Bunch of funk artists and Weird Al. I can't wait.
Yeah. It's perfect. I mean, Weird Al fits with anyone, I think.
I would I've seen him live twice, and he's so great. He's so great.
That's awesome. Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much, Heatbox, Aaron. I really appreciate you coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, totally.